Not going to lie. That wasn't a very fun birthday. Brewers fall in extras. The season might be over. And it was a really rough weekend for sports in Wisconsin. Shout out to the Packers, though. All right, we're locked on.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, everybody. It is my first day as a 28-year-old, so thanks to everybody who wished happy birthday to me yesterday. Too bad the Brewers did not want to give us a quick, tidy, good victory to talk about here today. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. This is Locked On Brewers, your only daily podcast dedicated to the Brew Crew all season long, and this is it, y'all. I can't believe it. The final 3 days of the regular season. I remember sitting here taking over for Vinny Rottino at the start of the season thinking, what the heck am I getting myself into? So thank you to everybody who's traveled along on this journey so far. We're starting on a positive note because this is going to get pretty negative later on in this show, okay? I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's reached out, everybody who's had interactions with me or with the show or with Twitter, whatever. This is going to be a tough week to swallow for the Brewers and for their fans and everything that's gone down. And we're going to talk about, what actually went wrong in yesterday's game, the reaction from the players in the clubhouse, and just basically rant a little bit later on in the show. The Brewers fall 4-3 in 12 innings. 12 innings. This is what happens, and I tweeted this. This is what happens when you have two really bad offenses, right? The Marlins, we told you coming into the weekend, they're one of the worst offenses in baseball. The Brewers, obviously slumping, and they looked like a team that was slumping. When you ask one of these two teams, hey, we're giving you a runner at second base, but you got to score somebody other than that guy. So both teams traded the placed runner the 10th. Nobody scored in the 11th. And then with 2 strikes and 2 outs in the 12th, the Marlins scored the placed runner. And then the Brewers could not score the base runner in the bottom of the 12th inning. It's a perfect microcosm of what the entire season has been for the Brewers. They went 2 for 15 with runners in scoring position in the game yesterday. They only had 7 hits. Yes, they drew 8 walks, but they only had 7 hits. They didn't strike out as much, but it seemed like every strikeout was in a clutch situation. And the Brewers are now up against it. As they start play tonight, the Diamondbacks are in town, 6:40 first pitch tonight. The Brewers must win out, while the Phillies must lose out. There is no other scenario for the Brewers to get into the postseason. As soon as Philly wins a game, it's over. It does not matter if the Brewers win all 3 games against the Diamondbacks. As soon as Philly wins a game, it is over. They are going to Houston, I understand, but they've got all the momentum in the world now all of a sudden. Remember game 1 of the doubleheader, how excited everybody was? Oh my goodness, the Phillies are absolutely crapping the bed right now. The Nationals are giving it to them. They're gonna win the series. Brewers got a shot. And then they split the doubleheader, which shouldn't be the end of the world. If the Brewers won yesterday or even on Saturday like they were supposed to, they would be neck and neck, exact same record for the final 3 games of the series. But now you have absolutely no confidence. You have no excitement around this team. And you're about to face a team that gave it to you a little bit earlier in the month in September. Things aren't looking great here in Brewers land. Yesterday, the Brewers, you can easily say, oh, the bullpen blew it. Taylor Rogers, Justin Topa, what the heck? No, the Brewers didn't score until the 7th inning. And even then when they scored, it wasn't pretty. The Brewers have done this all season long. I see you guys in my Twitter mentions saying, oh, it's not an offense problem. It's a pitching problem. How many times are the Brewers going to score 2 runs in a game and you say, yeah, that's enough? That's never enough. Never enough. I don't care how good your pitching is. 2 runs for 9 innings is never going to be enough. And think about it this way. In the 8th inning, when the Brewers finally got on the board, trailing still 2-1, they should have had more. Bottom of the 7th inning. Starts out with a flyout and then a strikeout. Starts out with a single up the middle off the bench by Luis Urias. Tyrone Taylor, opposite field double. Love to see that. 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. Mike Brasso comes in off the bench, and I know pinch hitting is really, really, really hard. Your one job, Mike, is to put the ball in play. The infield was playing back. He strikes out. Christian Yelich comes up. The infield still playing back. He grounds out to second base. It scores a run, And then Willie strikes out. Willie's ice cold. More on him, Rowdy, and Yelich, the tweet that I had yesterday in a second. But that's just a perfect picture of what the Brewers have been dealing with the last month. The bottom of the order gets something going, right? Taylor's been great here in September and October. Garrett Mitchell has been great in September and October. But they set the table for the top of the order, and the top of the order has been ice cold and not able to drive them in. Shout out to Urias coming off the bench and starting that rally, then Tyrone going the other way. That is huge. The Brewers cannot survive with these numbers from the top three in their order. Listen to this. Start with the top of the order. Christian Yelich. He is only 3 for his last 41. That is an .073 batting average. I'm not bringing walks into this. I'm not talking about walks. I am straight up talking, are you putting bat on ball and are you getting base hits? Yelich is 3 for his last 41. .073. Willie Adames, who carried this team in August, carried this team in early September. 7 for his last 46. That's a 152 average. Rowdy Tellez was looking great in the first month and a half, 2 months of the season. Has really slowed down. 8 for his last 55. That's a 145 batting average. Those three guys. 18 hits between those three players. That's just not going to be good enough. 18 hits. When you add up all of their at-bats and you put all their combined batting averages, 18 hits out of 142 at-bats. That is a combined 127 batting average from your 1, 2, and 3 hitters. You are not going to win games doing that. Period. End of story. I don't know what's the blame to that, though. Is it approach? Is it the guys just out of gas? Is it their bodies failing? There's so many ways you can go with it, and it's so hard to... We all want to blame one thing. We want to say this is the reason why the Brewers have not had an offensive approach. They got new hitting coaches this year. A lot of folks want to point to that. Look, these are professional hitters. These are professional hitting coaches. There's a success brewing in Tampa Bay under Ozzie Timmons. There was success in the Mariners player development system. Look at the players that they've brought up through their system. Cal Raleigh the other night, Julio Rodriguez most notably, of course. They're getting it done offensively, so why hasn't it worked here with Ozzie Timmons and Connor Dawson? These are fair questions, and I don't think there's a simple one thing you can point to answer, but the offense simply fell apart. And we've said it since August. You know what? Maybe this team needs a little more offense. We saw it coming out of the second half. They were playing great. And I have beated this drum. I've just been saying, look, the offensive market has not been great this year. But in hindsight, it would have been nice to add something, right? Thought Esteury Ruiz could be that. Garrett Mitchell has slightly become that as of late, but he's batting 9th. So what I look to tonight, and this may sound radical, and I don't get hot takey on this, but honestly, how do you roll out Rowdy, Willie, and Yelich again after reading those numbers? How do you roll out that order? By the way, you're facing a lefty tonight in Tommy Henry. So even more reason to give Yelich further down in the order, Rowdy further down in the order. I mean, put Garrett Mitchell in the leadoff spot. Put Tyrone Taylor in the leadoff spot. It's time. Like, you got to do something different now. These guys are ice cold. They are Milwaukee in January. And you need them to be June in these final 3 games. I'm ranting again. I'm getting mad. It's like the 4th time I've had to talk about this tonight. So it's been a rough day to watch the offense. We're going to talk more about how great the pitching was and how we got overshadowed. We're going to talk about the race. We're going to talk about what went down on Twitter. And quite frankly, it's over. Do you really want them to make the postseason? Talk about that in a second. Tell you about one of our most proud and loyal sponsors here on the Locked On Network, Built Bar. If you haven't tried the Puffs yet, what are you waiting for? Come on, you've heard me talk about the Puffs for the entire season. You're depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. Another new flavor's out. Cookie dough. Gosh, I've been begging for this for a long time if you've been listening to this pod. Cookie dough. Covered in chocolate, and it's cookie dough. Built has done it again. All the joys of eating cookie dough without the hassle of making it, and it's healthy for you. Cookie dough chunk puffs are only 160 calories and 15 grams of protein in them. Run to Built.com, BUILT.com. You can snag a box for yourself and for the family. It's a perfect treat. The Brewers, They need a little sweet treat right now. I got plenty of sweet treats in my bag right now, and I need to get some Built Bars to help me offset all the sugar I'm about to eat this week thanks to the birthday gift. Shout out to you, Sophia. Like all Built Bars, cookie dough chunk puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means they're healthy and tasty. Chocolate-covered cookie dough with a light, fluffy texture. What more could you beat? Go to Built.com. We got a promo code for you. BUILT.com. Promo code is LOCKEDON15. All one word. LOCKEDON15. And you're going to get 15% off your order with the promo code LOCKEDON15 at Built.com. Freddie Peralta pitched his you-know-what off yesterday. He was tremendous. And to give that after getting punched in the mouth on Thursday night by Avisail Garcia, not knowing what you're going to get out of him, pitch count-wise and length-wise and up-down-wise, 55 pitches over 4 innings, 35 strikes, 4 strikeouts. Here's the most important stat. 0 walks. That is how you want to end a season if you're Freddie Peralta. Because quite frankly, the Brewers officially have TBA listed for tomorrow and Wednesday, even though it's slated to be Lauer and Burns. I wouldn't be shocked if they shut down Burns, depending on what he wants to do. Maybe he wants to go for the strikeout, for the NL strikeout crown. He wants to get over 200 innings. Maybe he wants to get under a 3 ERA again, make sure he keeps it there. There's a lot of ways that they can go with that. But Freddie Peralta, his year is probably done. Injury-plagued year, to say the least. 4-4 record, 3.58 ERA. He only made 18 appearances. He threw just under half of the innings that he threw last year. 144 innings last year, 78 innings this year. This is something we talked about a lot last season, that Freddie Peralta was pretty much doubling his inning output from the previous full seasons of 2018 and 2019. And maybe now we saw the regression this year of all of his injuries. So you need, as it was clear, a healthy Freddie Peralta coming in to 2023. He is a part of the core. He's on the team-friendly extension. You need to make sure he's good to go. When you look at the pitching staff in this game, I know Taylor Rogers gave up the 2 inherited runners, and it wasn't great. It was a weird situation. Justin Topa getting hit by a pitch, getting hit by a liner right back to him. He was, dealing with traffic there, and the ball hits off his foot. If he gets out of the way, maybe Wong makes the play up the middle, and there's a bunch of different ways that inning could have gone. It turns into a really hard situation for any pitcher to have runners on the corners and nobody out. Both runners ended up coming in to score against Taylor Rogers. He didn't even finish the 7th inning when he came in to relieve Topa. That might be the last time we see Taylor Rogers in a Brewers jersey, and you're just going to think of Taylor Rogers and think of Josh Hader. It's impossible not to. Matt Bush pitched very well, got them out of the 7th in a scoreless 8th inning. Brad Boxberger, a scoreless 9th inning to keep the Brewers within a run. Then, of course, they scored the run in the bottom of the 9th inning to force extras. Get this stat about Brent Suter. Brent Suter pitched extras. He allowed the place runner to score in the 10th, kept them scoreless in the 11th. Brent Suter now has thrown in the placed runner era in extra innings 8 times. 8 innings he has pitched with the placed runner. The placed runner has only scored 3 times, and he has never allowed more than the placed runner to score against him. I'm a Brent Suter fan. I hope you are too, because he's been an unsung hero of this bullpen. He's been, once he's figured it out with his foot positioning on the rubber, he has been a completely different pitcher. He's been phenomenal. He's due back again next season. You look at his second half numbers. He's got a 2.97 ERA in the second half in 30 innings, 28 strikeouts in 30 innings. He's not a strikeout guy. Opponents' batting average down to 218 in the second half. It was 256 in the first half. Hat tip to Brent Suter. He really got it going in the second half when the Brewers needed it most. How about Brad Boxberger? I was very critical of him in August, thinking, oh man, he is treading water. He is going to be out of gas. He got the job done when the Brewers needed it most. Hobie Milner, he continues to be the MVP of this bullpen, in my opinion. 65 games. That's insane for him. That's almost double of what he had previously in his entire career. And for a guy that had a 5.40 ERA in just 21 innings, that allowed 8 homers last season in 21 innings, has only allowed 4 homers this year in 62 innings. Kudos to Chris Hook. Kudos to everybody in the pitching lab to making Hobie Milner able to get both righties and lefties out. He has been fantastic for the Brewers this season. Well, Dom, what's the point of you praising all the pitching staff? Well, most of these guys are going to be back next year. Listen to this pitching staff heading into 2023. Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, Freddie Peralta, Eric Lauer, Aaron Ashby, TBD on Adrian Hauser. Maybe Adrian Hauser's your odd man out. Oh, by the way, Robert Gasser's in AAA, who you acquired and going to give every benefit of the doubt for as far as moving up in the system because you traded Josh Hader for him. Okay, that's feeling pretty good. Ethan Small is still on the 40-man. Hopefully he can improve here in the offseason because it was really tough for him in the second half in AAA. So those are your starters, right? Those are your 5 to 7 candidates to start the team. But in my opinion, barring any trades, it would be Burns, Woodruff, Peralta, Ashby, and then Lauer for your 5-man rotation, Hauser being the 6th guy. That sounds pretty good. I'm cool with that. I'm very excited about that. How about your bullpen, right? So let's say the Brewers are going to have an 8-man bullpen breaking out of the season because you can have 14 coming out of camp. So you got Devin Williams, probably going to re-sign Trevor Gott. You're going to have Hobie Milner back. You're going to have Matt Bush back. You're going to have Brent Suter back. You're going to have Justin Topa. You're going to have Jake Cousins. And then insert Gustave, Perdomo, or Sanchez. Sanchez will probably be hurt. There's other options. And then Strzelecki. There are options in the bullpen. I don't hate that either. And then you can always get creative in the art market this offseason. Maybe there's somebody you've been eyeing and it makes another man trade equity. There's a lot of directions the Brewers can go in the bullpen. So, Dom, why are you talking about the pitching so much? Because every team ever is looking for pitching. And the Brewers, once again, have a lot of it. I'm not saying they're going to trade the top-end guys, but I think a priority this offseason is re-signing Trevor Gott, watching him develop. I'm 50-50 on Brad Boxberger. I'm okay with letting him walk. I think the Brewers have got every bit out of him and more. He has thrown in the top 10 of games since he was signed by the Brewers in 2021. And remember, he didn't even make the roster coming out of camp. And he has thrown in the top 10 in all of baseball in appearances the last 2 seasons. He has been huge for the Brewers. He has done his job. Thank you for your hard work, Brad Boxberger. But if the Brewers are going to add offense, it is going to cost some pitching. They need to add some offense while they have a strong enough bullpen. And I know you're thinking, Dom, what are you talking about? They have a good enough bullpen. Matt Bush and Taylor Rogers continue to blow it. I am still going to be a Matt Bush believer until I'm told otherwise, too. He has pitched very, very well, and the home runs are the only thing that have slowed him down. That's the only thing. He doesn't walk a million guys. He gets a lot of strikeouts, and he throws hard. I'm really encouraged to see what an offseason in the pitching lab will do for him, what he can learn from this organization. Quite frankly, sources in the industry tell me the Brewers are way, 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 way ahead of the Texas Rangers when it comes to pitch design. The Rangers are getting there, not quite yet. I could see Matt Bush with the four-seam fastball, the curveball, working on that cutter a little more, maybe make it more of a slider, a firm slider could really work out for Matt Bush. Take some notes from Peter Strzelecki's slider or Jake Cousins' slider. These are the kind of things that you really get excited about. The Brewers need offense, plain and simple. You know that. David Stearns knows that. Matt Arnold knows that. Mark Anastasio knows that. Don't think they're dumb because they made a bad trade. Everyone's human. I'm not giving it a free pass. It was a bad trade. I can sit here 2 months later and say it was a bad trade. But there is time to fix it. Esteury Ruiz and Robert Gasser are really going to be the only ones left to prove that, you know what? Maybe they did get something out of this. Because Ruiz has already been in the big leagues. He's going to be a candidate to be in the big league outfield next season. And then Gasser, he's going to be AAA depth, and as he continues to develop in the Brewers organization, there's something to get excited about there as well for the Brew Crew. So it's been a tough year. It's been a tough couple of months. But let's rant a little more here because I see it on Twitter. I see the negativity. I'm not a negative person, I promise. I'm not a hot take guy. But I just want to kind of sympathize with what you've been feeling over the last few weeks. The Brewers, if they were to make the postseason, the general rhetoric that I see is you wouldn't be excited. And that's perfectly A-okay. There is nothing about this team that is inspiring. Even if they go 3-0 and the Phillies go 0-3, be like, all right, cool. Cardinals are good. I mean, you're going to see Jordan Montgomery, Adam Wainwright, probably going to see Jose Quintana just because they know the lefty against the Brewers. You're going to see Miles Michaelis probably. I mean, who knows? The point is, even if the Brewers get in, there's no confidence. There's no reason to be confident, right? Because you've seen this story go over and over and over again. The Brewers know who their leading hitter is right now? Hunter Renfrow. That's qualified hitters, I should say. That's not including Mike Brasso. That's not including Garrett Mitchell. Hunter Renfrow is leading the Brewers in hitting. If you would have told me that at the start of the year, I would have thought you were crazy, and I also would have said there's no way this team makes the playoffs if he's a leading hitter. That's exactly what the case is looking like. Hunter Renfrow, a 256 batting average, despite only a 317 on base, which he makes up for with a 490 slugging and an 807 OPS. I want to teach real quick about OPS and about stats and bias and things of that nature. A lot of the media, myself included, have used OPS as a metric to say, oh, look, the Brewers aren't that bad. Look at their OPS in this situation. Here's the thing about OPS. It doesn't measure when you're actually getting hits that the situation requires, right? OPS gets greatly skewed by home runs and greatly skewed by walks. What do the Brewers do better than almost anybody else? Hit home runs and take walks. Home runs are the highest value for your slugging. Walks help your on-base percentage because they don't impact your at-bats. You don't get an at-bat. You just get a one-for-one plate appearance and a walk. That's beautiful. Who wouldn't want that? The reason why the Brewers have such good OPS numbers in a lot of these rate categories, and you're thinking, man, this offense should be better than what they are, it's because they hit a ton of home runs. A ton of home runs. But when you get to actual systemic offense and actual sustainable offense, I've been begging for this since July. You have heard me say this. Sustainable offense. Sustainable offense. Base hits, hit and runs, hitting it the other way, keeping it on the ground, getting it in the air, putting the ball in play. That is a weakness of the Brewers. You've seen it all season long. When you don't have sustainable offense and you face an elite pitching staff like you saw this weekend with the Marlins, Sandy Alcantara, legit. Pablo Lopez shoved it again against the Brewers. Edward Cabrera, could you imagine if Edward Cabrera actually pitched the whole game on Saturday? And remember, he was removed to injury after 3 innings on Saturday. Can you imagine if he pitched that whole game? Or at least 6 innings, 7 innings? He might have been flirting with a perfect game. He looked nasty. He looked dominant. Brewers had no answer for him. And then the lefty, Braxton Garrett, no answer for him either. What did the Marlins do better than most other teams against the Brewers? The easy answer is say, oh yeah, they pitched great. No. They took the home run ball away from the Brewers. Christian Yelich's home run on Saturday, and then the home run, or no home run, I should back over. That was against the Cardinals. Yeah, that's it. 4-game series, 8 runs scored for the Brewers, 1 home run, a solo homer. This team relies on the home run. They only got 1, and it was from Christian Yelich in shocking fashion in a game that they should have won on Saturday. That's the formula. That's what the Diamondbacks are going to try to do this week. And by the way, they got another lefty on the mound tonight. And then you got Zach Gallen tomorrow. Merrill Kelly on Wednesday. I'm not trying to be a Deborah Downer to start this Monday, but I see it. I believe it. It's over, man. I'm an optimist. I would love to be eating crow and be wrong. The Brewers go 3-0 and the Phillies go 0-3. But there isn't a lot to be excited about right now. Just being real. I understand the sympathy, and this is where it gets hard to be a fan. We had this conversation back in mid-August after the Hader trade, trying to figure out what's going on with the Brew Crew. How do you continue to support your team even though you can see it falling apart? I can sit here and look at the bright side and say, look, all good things come to an end. 4 straight postseasons. What a run it was. Oh my. Now you're going to see the Cardinals go into the postseason. You're going to play as many games in October as the Cubs, Pirates, and Reds. And that's the reason why you're not in the postseason. Not dominating those guys like you were supposed to. The Brewers are 84-75, and yet their record against teams above 500, they're only 10 or against the teams below 500, I beg your pardon. They're only 10 games above 500 against teams with a losing record. Think about that for a second. They are 10 games above 500 against teams that with a losing record. That's not going to get you in the postseason. It's so bad that, in fact, they have the 18th out of 30, 18th winning percentage in all of baseball against teams with a losing record. That doesn't get you in. That does not get you in. Those are the games the Brewers lost. Yes, they lost this week, and it was frustrating. Last season, the Brewers, 15-4 against the Cubs, 14-5 against the Pirates. You look at what they did against Arizona, 6-1. Colorado, 5-2. Cleveland, 3-0. There's a lot to be excited about. They lost the season series to St. Louis, but that was all thanks to the crazy winning streak. This year, not the same at all. They only won the season series by 3 games against the Pirates, 11-8. They lost the season series to the Cubs, 9-10, and they only beat the Reds by 7 games, 13-6. You look at that, that's a ton of games lost right there. As a total, that would be 33 wins over a total of 24 losses. 9 games above 500 against the Cubs, the Reds, and the Pirates. That's why the Brewers aren't making the playoffs. In addition to their offense, in addition to the trade, in addition to what happened this weekend, that's how I'm going to remember this season, I should say. The Brewers were only 9 games above 500 against the Reds, the Cubs, and the Pirates. That includes 2 series wins in there too, mind you, between the Pirates and the Reds, and losing a season series to the Cubs. That's what I'm going to circle. You didn't take care of your own division, and you don't deserve to make the postseason. It's that simple. The Brewers are probably not going to make the postseason, but I hope I'm wrong. I've never been this negative, and I don't like it, quite frankly, especially right after my birthday, but it's the truth, and you deserve to hear the truth. You deserve to hear a rant. You deserve to hear some criticism, and I just wanted to be real with y'all. It's been a weird year. Really weird year. 3 games to go. Hope to see you at the ballpark this week. Wrapping things up here, a couple of housekeeping notes. Apologies to anybody who was looking for those short pods. We had some technical difficulties at the radio station this weekend. I was bouncing all over the place and basically did not get the chance to record those short pods. I don't think you missed anything anyway. But you remember, you can always tune in on Brewers Extra Innings. I've got tonight's show. I'll actually be on my way. I'm on assignment tonight. I'll be going to Houston, but I will still have the show tonight remotely. I'll be watching from afar. I am off tomorrow and then be back in time in person on Wednesday to close out the regular season. So, weird year, weird day, weird weekend. Let's just put a smile on our face and go attack this Monday with enthusiasm unknown to mankind. All right, Brandon Woodruff gets to pitch the ball one last time tonight against, at least this season. I shouldn't say one last time. No, don't freak out. Last time in 2022, Brandon Woodruff will get a start tonight. I hope he goes a complete game shutout. I would love to see that. And I'd love that for him because he deserves it. Okay, we're rambling now. It's been a fun show. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Until then, keep on swinging.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.